All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, in this one, I wanted to talk about the report that Rich Cimini came out with yesterday, essentially saying that tensions are high within the New York Jets building, right? Specifically amongst the personnel. Quotes were being used like ready to implode, right? The Jets could potentially be one of those teams, according to Cimini here, that are ready to implode. And this is stemming from the fact of the mismanagement of the quarterback position. The whole Zach Wilson thing, I read that, again, according to Cimini here, that players view Saleh as like a Zach Wilson apologist. They know, defensive members on the team know that if they played like Zach, right, if they weren't, producing at their given positions, that they would be benched. But for Zach, it seems like there's either a million excuses or there's just no accountability. It seems like no matter what Wilson looks like, whether you want to talk about the numbers, the stats, we can talk about the eye test, we can talk about end result of these football games, it doesn't really seem like it matters. It seems like the Jets are fine with whatever they get. I'm at the point right now, and keep in mind, we are entering week four. Week four, we are a 1-2 football team. A 1-2 football team talking about this list, this long list of problems going into week four. It feels like we're in week 12 or week 13. I mean, my Lord, like this is since the Aaron Rodgers injury. It seems like there's a real lack of leadership here on multiple accounts. There's a real lack of continuity. There's a lack of just that brotherhood vibe, right? That brotherhood sense. The we're all in this together type of feeling that players, that coaches, that management, that fans all have when in a typical NFL season. It just doesn't seem like we have those things right now. And again, I used the words on multiple accounts because I do feel like it's being mismanaged from the top, from Joe Douglas. To talk about him for a second, it literally makes zero sense. It makes zero sense to not address the quarterback position. I mean, we can talk about the offseason, bringing in Bridgewater, bringing in Gardner Minshew, this past offseason, whoever it might have been, right? Pick your favorite backup quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, whoever it was, right? These guys are all signing for pretty cheap contracts. I mean, even Baker Mayfield signed for like hardly anything, and he was in a quarterback competition with Kyle Trask, ended up winning, and look what he's doing. So the bottom line is, we can talk about the offseason and having a veteran backup quarterback in-house at that point in time. But what I just don't get is the fact that it's pretty apparent that it's the Achilles, that it's going to be a season-long injury. It's not like one of these Carl Lawson back situations he experienced in training camp. It's day-to-day. He's out for 5 weeks and nobody really knows. Should we bring in somebody? Should we not? Should we trade for somebody? We knew Aaron Rodgers was done for the season, and we said we're not addressing quarterback. With every single passing day, we're not addressing QB. We're not doing it. It's Zach's team. It didn't seem like the thought was in Joe Douglas's mind. Well, what if Zach Wilson plays poorly? What if things go south? What if we see a repeat of last year? What if Zach gets hurt? These questions need to be asked. And the one thing that I kept seeing was that the Jets feel like Zach Wilson is better than every available option, right? Every veteran on the free agent market. He's better than Tim Boyle, he's essentially better than the field, right? He's better than the alternative. You can still have that mindset here as the Jets organization, but I still feel like you have to prepare for the worst. You have to get somebody in the building that you feel good enough about, feel comfortable with, to when if things do go south, if the season starts spiraling out of control, it's like, hold on a second, let's try somebody else. Just like we did last season with Mike White. And I know Joe Flacco was we went through 4 quarterbacks last year. Season before that, we also went through a bunch. To me, it's just completely irresponsible to say, okay, Aaron Rodgers, the starting quarterback, is out for the season. What are we going to do about the quarterback position? Nothing. We're going to do nothing. And we're just going to hope that Zach Wilson looks good. And if he doesn't, it is what it is. That's the vibe that I'm getting. That's the message that Joe Douglas is sending. That's what I'm taking from it, because it's, and I know we brought in Trevor Siemian yesterday, which is like, okay, is the Jets quarterback room in a better place today than it was 2 days ago? Yeah. Like, I don't have anything against Trevor Siemian. I'm actually a fan. I grew up in Orlando, right? A couple hours away from me. I think what Siemian did in Denver was a difficult thing to do, right? Coming into a veteran Denver Bronco team, having to lead it post Peyton Manning, post Super Bowl. There was a lot on Simeon's plate that season. And, he's carved out a role at this point as a veteran backup. He's spent time on numerous teams. The Jets were one of those teams. Bears, Vikings, who else? Saints, Bengals. Of course, the Denver Broncos. I don't have a problem with Trevor Siemian individually. Like, we know who he is. But my problem is, okay, if you want to go at a Trevor Siemian, right, or a QB that is in that kind of tier, we could have done this weeks ago. We could have done it weeks ago. In Saleh's words, this isn't Madden. This isn't just plug and play here. It's going to take some time. You can't just sign a quarterback and he's playing on Sunday. He's playing 3 days later. To me, that says, okay, that's like, I believe that. That's totally realistic. Let's get somebody in the building right now, so we can start this process. With every passing day, that's a day that quarterback could be connecting with the teammate. That's another day that the quarterback could be studying the system or working with Nathaniel Hackett or putting in extra time. I'm not just saying just start throwing money all around and bring in 5 different quarterbacks. No, obviously not. But it's like, is there even a plan in place? Do we even have, QB names on a whiteboard saying like, okay, we feel a little bit better about this guy compared to this guy? Is there any comparing and contrasting going on, or is it just like not even being talked about? Totally strange. Of course, we can talk about the Saleh comments here as well. Man, I got to be honest. If I was a defensive player, I would be frustrated too. And look, nobody is saying that Saleh needs to throw Zach Wilson under the bus or point the blame at him and just, rip him apart in a press conference. Nobody is saying that. That doesn't do anybody any good. But I do believe that there is a difference from what we're getting from Saleh, which is it's Zach's team. He's the unquestioned quarterback. No, Tim Boyle is not getting any first team reps. No, we're not talking about other free agent quarterbacks. That's a Joe Douglas question, deferring it to him. It's Zach's team. To me, I get the vibe that it's like it's the New York Zach Wilsons. It's not the New York Jets. What about the other 52 guys in the locker room? Where is the fire? Where is the sense of urgency to say? And again, I'm not saying be rude or be short or anything in these press conferences, but it's like I would really appreciate a response like after that Patriots game when asked about Wilson's struggles or the offensive struggles. He could have easily said a super bland, super boring coach statement that we hear every single year on every single level of football. We got to watch the tape. We weren't out there executing. I mean, he could even take it a little bit further. Check the box score. Hey, you know what? That's a great question. We've seen back-to-back weeks here where the offense just hasn't really been able to produce as we've, kind of thought that they were kind of going into the week. We need to get back to the drawing board, right? This is unacceptable. In 2023, when everything is tailored towards passing the football, offensive football, scoring points, if we can't do it, right? If we're having, 7-3 and outs at a football game, there's some sort of issue here. And, it's my job as the head coach of the football team to figure out what's going on. And I will get it figured out. Something like that. Like totally, I would have had no issue with a statement like that. Like I really want to see a proactive, attacking approach to these press conferences, right? Oh, we got Kansas City next week. It's, it's going to be a huge test. Defending Super Bowl champions. We got to come in on our A game. Right, we got to turn this offense around. But instead, we're getting like a defensive press conference. No, we're not talking about anybody else. It's Wilson's team. The way it comes off to me is from both Joe Douglas and Saleh. And Douglas is obviously not even talking in press conferences, but the vibe that I'm getting, it's totally defensive. It's like, no, Zach Wilson is our guy. We picked him number 2 overall. We're watching him in practice. We don't care what the other 52 guys are thinking. We don't care what the fans are thinking. We don't care what the other teams are thinking and how they're game planning against Zach Wilson in our offense. We don't care about that stuff. He's our guy. You guys have to sit there and deal with it. That's what it comes across as to me. listening to these press conferences. And again, I am totally for Saleh sticking up for his players. I think that's awesome. I think that's what a head coach should do. But it comes a point where if you have a player or a unit that's struggling, we could acknowledge that this is a problem. And it's been a problem these past couple of weeks. It's been a problem since last season and the year before that. I made a joke with Tyson on the podcast. How do the Jets look like the same exact team from last year when we have new offensive weapons? We have a brand new play caller, a brand new offensive coordinator here in Hackett. We have a new scheme. We have a new offensive staff. And it literally, think back to that Jets-Patriots game last year in Gillette Stadium. It literally looks like that Week 3 game looked like they just suited up and played the following week. And we have all of these different changes. How is that even possible? That makes zero sense to me. So, man, is the locker room ready to implode here? According to Cimini's report, I don't know, but I think what people are looking for here is just is kind of a sense of urgency, B, that fire lit under the head coach of the football team, just saying hey, we're desperate for wins. We there's nothing more that we want to do than win football games. We're tired of losing. We're tired. It's now 15 straight against the Pats. 15 straight losses against New England. I know Saleh wasn't there for all 15, but he's 0-5 against Belichick at this point. We got the Chiefs, blew it in Dallas. It's we're going to do everything in our power, whether that's bringing external players, whether that's maybe giving somebody else a shot, i.e. Tim Boyle. We're going to figure this thing out, and we're going to go down swinging. We're not just going to lay down and just sink with the ship here. We're not doing it. Maybe Zach Wilson gets better. Who knows? I hope Zach goes out there Sunday night and just lights Kansas City up. That's what I really, really want to happen here. And look, my final thing I'll say is, and by the way, I appreciate everybody watching this video. I know these videos are kind of hard to come to based off of how much hype was going into the year and the total mismanagement that we've seen so far. But the last thing I'll say, if Joe Douglas, Saleh, and Hackett are all, under the same mindset of Zach Wilson is the top guy here and we cannot get any better, then play to his strengths. Get him outside the pocket. Can we please see a bootleg play action? Could we please see a pass that's not a Hail Mary go beyond 20 yards? Throw it down the field. Zach Wilson's two awesome traits. Arm strength, overall arm power. I mean, man, he can really put a lot of velocity on that football. He could launch that thing deep. And mobility, playmaking ability, right? We've seen what Wilson can do, in open space. Nobody's saying that Zach is Lamar Jackson here or anything like that, but he can put a move on a guy. He can make defensive ends and linebackers look silly. He is kind of agile and he has that playmaking ability in space. So let's get Wilson in space and let's force the ball down the field. If you have no faith, absolutely no faith in Wilson to throw the football down the field, because we A, haven't seen it yet this season, and B, defensive minds, defensive coordinators, safeties specifically, they are looking at this Jets offense like they will not throw the ball down the field. They don't even put the personnel in to try to fool us that they're going to throw the ball down the field. Where's McCole Hardman? He was a big name acquisition that was just brought in from this offseason to be a big part of the Hackett offense. We handpicked him in the free agency pool. Where is he? He's not even playing. He gets a handful of snaps every game. How about Xavier Gibson? One of the only players that looks really, really explosive with the football in his hands. Let's maybe get him in offensively and see what he can do. Toss him a screen. Let's see if he can work. I'm getting messages from Chiefs fans saying, what are you guys doing to McCole Hardman? Why isn't he even playing? Your offense is not that good. People are talking about it on, these mainstream sports media shows as, saying that the Jets offense is a joke and Hardman's on the bench. Why? And my response is, I don't know. I don't know if he's in the doghouse. I don't know if they are afraid to use him or whatever the case is, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Again, if Douglas, if Saleh, and if Hackett, they genuinely believe that you cannot get better than Zach Wilson, then at least play to his strengths. So, man, I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for hanging out and because I know it's hard, right? I know it's hard. We're all watching the same team on Sunday. I appreciate it. I really, really do. So anyway, thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.